The toughest athletes in the world are gymnasts. If gymnastics was easy, they would call it any other sport. Would you agree? Gymnastics has 4 to 6 disciplines where you are judged on how well you perform the skills and how difficult these skills are. Every event has its own element that you need to be good at. Let's say you need balance for balance beam, for example. So you don't want to be too top heavy, but then you also need the upper body strength for rings and bars. Flexibility and skill on beam, but then also have power for vault. It's almost as if gymnasts have to train for many separate sports all at the same time. This training and competition calls for the toughest mental and physical athletes. Mental toughness is probably the most difficult part of gymnastics. Gymnasts can do skills thousands, maybe millions of times, just to perfect it, and then all of a sudden they can hit a mental block. Let's do backflips, for example. I've done it thousands of times on a line perfectly, but then when it's time to go up onto a beam that's the size of the average iPhone, that's only 4 inches, and then raise it 4 feet off the ground, it's not really the same, is it? They are always battling their mind and forcing their bodies to do something that isn't particularly what it wants to do. The mental discipline that gymnasts have is out of this world. Repeating the same skills since they were kids and still being told that it isn't perfect by judges is so much fun. I remember the stress of achieving perfection to be so terrible through my 13 years of gymnastics. And so we train and condition to the point of failure, just in hopes that we can get a better score by the judges. Plus, the way that the judging system works is that they take marks off for what you're doing wrong. But do they ever add anything for what you're doing right? No. Gymnasts take this all in from a young age and are always told that they aren't good enough. How do you think that makes them feel? As a kid, I remember sleeping through the nights and splits because being forced down by the coach was to the point where I'd almost cry. It was much, much worse. You may be asking, how physically tough are gymnasts compared to other athletes? ESPN analyzed the top sports to determine how difficult the sport really is. One of the most impressive things that they mention is that gymnasts' shoulders can withstand up to 9 times their body weight while doing giants on bars. Isn't that crazy? Of course you need balance for skating sports, but I would love to see a hockey player do split jump on a beam with confidence. Gymnasts may not be able to skate as fast, but they sure can run fast towards a solid inanimate object to launch themselves in the air and land on their feet. Have you ever missed the board and jumped through it and then hit the vault straight on? Yeah, football players get tackled, but the vault doesn't move. It tackles you down to the ground hard. You got kicked in the leg and fell in soccer and got a whistle to stop the play? Try splitting the beam and getting back up with only 10 seconds to catch your breath, or you're out. Can a soccer player do that? Rips, broken bones, impact damage to growth plates, dislocating joints, a body can only withstand this kind of activity for so long. That's why you don't see many professional gymnasts over the age of 25, or even 20, just because it's so tough on the body. Health Digest even did a deep dive into the health risks that can arise from being a gymnast. They say that this sport has one of the highest rates of injuries among girls. They also mention how all sports have minor injuries, and then that is what the common injuries are. But then they also say that serious injuries are relatively common in gymnastics. Some of these injuries could include wrist fractures, cartilage damage, finger and hand injuries, ankle sprains, Achilles tendons, ACL tears, just to name a few that are common. What do you think? Is it true that if gymnastics was easy, they would call it any other sport? Are they as tough or even tougher than the other athletes in different sports? What do you think?